Hi, everybody. It's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. This is my take on the November 2025 astrology. I'll start off with an introduction regarding what transits are happening and the moons. Then I'll go into your individual ascendants and or sun signs. So really, November 2025 astrology is really dominated all month by the Mercury retrograde. So the Mercury retrograde will be basically almost all the month of November. And I did do a video on this already, and I went into your sun signs and ascendants as well for both the beginning of the retrograde and then the direct motion and what it might mean to you. Put the link below. So I'm not going to cover in depth the Mercury retrograde, but you can go to this video and get a lot more information that I'm going to give you in this. This is just really covering more like the moons and other aspects, right? Okay, so the other thing that we have is if we look at the moons, we're looking at the full moon in Taurus, the new moon in Scorpio. So let's start off with that full moon in Taurus. So both Taurus and Scorpio, generally speaking, are viewed as sort of money signs, and that the houses they fall in the natural zodiac, sort of emphasize this, right? So when we look at the Taurus part, which we're starting off with here, that falls in the natural zodiac's second house, right? And the second house, we tend to look at the money that we earn, but just as important is our values. What do we think of our value, and what do other people think of our value? And how is that reflected in our modern day society? Appreciating that value, money, right? The money that we're paid. So this may be a little bit of a focus. The background theme is money that you make. Now, the full moon itself happens on the 5th of November at 5:19 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it will be at 13 degrees of Taurus, 22 minutes. This full moon is ruled by Venus, so we look to where Venus is. And interestingly, Venus is at around 28 degrees of Libra. Recall last month in my video, when I spoke about that new moon in Libra, what degree was it at? It was at 28 degrees. And of course, Venus also rules Libra too. So this is an important pointer that the universe is trying to give you. Especially if you've had something around that 28 degree mark of that new moon last October of Libra. This certainly is asking us to go back and review to some extent, what was that new thing that we wanted to start or that we started? Because Venus is coming in here. For some people, Venus is going to give you money, right? Venus represents money. For others, it might be love of some sort comes in here. For still others, your value may go up, right? Whatever new thing you started at that new moon in October in Libra, you may now see tangible money in your hands as a result of it, or a tangible, maybe less money-like, but somebody actually recognizes you and your value, and it is stated to people around you. Or you may say, I deserve more than this, right? Maybe that new start last October was you saying, you know, I need to get a new job here, or I need to start something new in some aspect of your life. And you take steps towards it. Well, this full moon may see the culmination of that with the influence of its ruler Venus and the Venus conjunct that point of 28 degrees Libra that the new moon was at. So bear that in mind as you're thinking about this full moon. Now, in terms of aspects for the full moon itself in Taurus, we have Mars that's going to be at 0 degrees of Sagittarius, and it will be opposing that Uranus, the very first degree of Gemini, and it'll be trining Neptune. Mars will also be sextiling a now direct Pluto. So these are all, I see these outer planets as they're being sextiled, opposed, and trined as setting off the scaffolding behind the scenes regarding what's going on in our life. So I would say, especially around this full moon, do pay attention to that with the setup of those planets that I just spoke about with that Mars influence. Mars likes to put energy into something. So this is like putting energy into the scaffolding going on behind the scenes, much of which will last for many years of our life. Now, certainly Mars at 0 degrees of Sagittarius also speaks to new beginnings, right? 0 degrees is a critical degree. New starts, even though this is a full moon. Now, there may be some surprises coming in here as well with that Mars opposite Uranus. I see this playing out on the world stage. Unexpected movements forward. Now, Sagittarius can rule things like the law, maybe unexpectedly. A law is enacted and we have to pay attention. It can also represent foreign people and foreign things. And I think on the world stage, my feeling was that that's what this represents. There's going to be something unexpectedly happen that is related to foreign people, foreign lands. Now, travel can also be unexpected travel. Delays can happen here. And certainly with that Mars in 0 degrees, it's a new thing. But also we've got the Mercury retrograde happening, causing all sorts of snafus and problems with travel, missed flights, misunderstood itineraries, all that sort of thing can come up with a Mercury retrograde on top of this, right? So plan your travel accordingly is what I would do if I were traveling in, I'll be just traveling locally in November and December. And Mars is still going to be carrying on in Sagittarius all the way through at least that first week or first 2 weeks of December. So certainly for those traveling, say, for Thanksgiving in November, just double check all your plans. Check the car. If you're going to be traveling by car, this would be a good time to get a checkup on that car before you get into it to travel, right? Are those tires in good shape? Even something as simple as making sure you've got, your tank filled up with gas or your batteries, charged up. All right, enough said about that. Now, when we look at that Venus that I spoke about at 28 degrees of Libra, that's going to be squaring Jupiter. It's, as I've said many times, very, very hard to actually get a bad aspect with Jupiter. So I see this as positive. I see this as potentially being love blossoming for some people here, maybe with foreign people. It can also bring in some money that you were waiting for, maybe money you were waiting through a legal case. That arrives on your doorstep. Don't forget, we got Venus in Libra, and of course that Jupiter is in Cancer. For others, I thought this could be growth of some sort, right? So generally speaking, we talk about Jupiter representing growth, just as a basic type of theme or activity for this planet. And then with the Venus part, that's why I'm saying for some, love may blossom. For others, females may grow. How do you grow? Certainly you can gain weight through eating too much. That could happen too. Maybe too many sweets at Thanksgiving or around that Thanksgiving time period. But also this can indicate pregnancy too, right? So we're looking at the degrees here for certainly Venus. We are looking at 28 degrees. And for Jupiter, we're looking at 25 degrees in Cancer, right? When we look at the decan, I'm going to try to include decans in this too. Now, I'm just looking at the modern decans. You can go back to medieval interpretations and all that, and those are interesting too. I'm just going to keep it simple and go into the decan for the modern take on decans in astrology. And certainly for this full moon in Taurus, which is at 13 degrees, we know it's past that first decan. The first decan is from 0 degrees to 10 degrees. Well, we know this is 13 plus degrees and minutes. So we know this falls in the second decan. So we say, well, what rules that second decan? The second decan is ruled by Virgo. And therefore, this is ruled by the planet of Mercury. Whoa. So this emphasizes once again the Mercury retrograde. Important to pay attention to details. Try not to sign contracts. If you do need to sign contracts, this is the time when I would hire someone who is an expert to look through the papers I'm going to sign. But sometimes we can't, help it. And for those that are getting a bit worried about, well, I do have to sign a contract because I'm starting a new job or I'm buying a house or whatever, I always say, and I follow this principle myself, if you've started these negotiations way before the Mercury retrograde started, then you're probably not going to be affected by this if you absolutely have to sign something, right? So that's a caveat that I'm going to put in there for you. Don't want you to worry. And, like many other senior astrologers have said, we can't dictate our life around Mercury retrogrades. There's 3, sometimes 4 Mercury retrogrades in a year. It does put an emphasis on paying attention to any details to do with communications. So Pluto is going direct. It's now at 1 degree 41 minutes at this new moon in Scorpio. So this new moon in Scorpio is at 28 degrees of Scorpio, 11 minutes on the 19th of November at 10:46 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The big standout for this moon, which of course has the sun at the same degree of 28 degrees, is that we have Mercury still retrograde, also at 28 degrees, conjunct both the moon and the sun, emphasizing communications, emphasizing potential writing projects, and, anything to do with your thoughts even could come in here as well. And especially in Scorpio, it literally could be our thoughts. What our thinking may not be on track here. So the newness that you want to start here may not be able to really be activated until that Mercury goes direct, right? So what else do we have happening? We have Venus in Scorpio is trining the north nodes in Pisces. And so this is really positive too. This brings in a sense of maybe attracting in some favorable things for our destiny path, just generally speaking here, right? Venus likes to be the big attractor, kind of like Jupiter in a way, but Venus likes to bring in nice things for you too. Venus likes to take that sharp edge off things. And as a trine, it's just beaming positive energy. So certainly if you have something around, let me just see where the north nodes are. So the north nodes are at 15 degrees plus of Pisces. And then Venus is at 16 degrees plus of Scorpio, almost 17 degrees of Scorpio. And so, yeah, I mean, this could be of great benefit to those that have something around that. I'm thinking, let's go back to kind of the areas of life, investments, that type of thing, mortgages. For those that say have something around that, say, 18-degree point of Scorpio and or Pisces, and you're getting this trine happening, this could be something positive that plays out in terms of investments for you and your long-term destiny, right? We have Mercury still retrograde, but it's going to be trining Neptune and widely trining Saturn. And so I really saw this as, I almost had this vision of a harp being plucked. So to me, this is saying there is some communication of some sort that may come in a harmonious way here that either reminds us of something or inspires us in some way. Don't forget that Neptune can be inspiration, right? So for those that I would say are in the music industry, even in the film industry, anything kind of creative that way, this could be a time, even though it's a Mercury retrograde, of some real inspiration coming through that brain of yours, and you write it down. Let's just say it's writing music. Super important here. And with that trine, even though it's wide to Saturn, it brings a sense of longevity and makes that inspiration real. Now, we have an interesting dynamic setting up just before Mercury goes direct on the 29th of November. We have Saturn going direct on the 28th of November at 25 degrees of Pisces, right? And that's just before we have Mercury going direct the next day. Now, importantly, that Saturn going direct at 25 degrees of Pisces trines what? It trines Jupiter. And so this could be a really important day for certainly some kind of green light where there's been delays. Now you're getting this idea of, whoa, I can finally move forward here. And you get some positive news, right? That comes out maybe the next day. Could come out the same day. I mean, the Mercury does go direct at 20 degrees of Scorpio, 42 minutes on the 29th of November at 9:29 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So Saturn going direct works with this, right? So for those that are listening to this, so I'm making this early actually because I've got so much going on in October. I'm making this kind of end of the first week of October or so. And for those that end up listening to this prior to November actually happening, if you are running into frustration, say towards the end of October, into the early part of November, there's some big, big things going to happening towards the end of November with regards to delays being lifted of any sort, especially with regards to signing contracts, maybe buying a computer even, maybe even buying a car. All those things could be held up at the beginning of November, but they all start coming forward again. I would say around that 28th, 29th of November. Now, Mercury still has to get out of its shadow, and it does that in December. But I think because we got this link with Saturn going direct, even though I know it takes its time to really move forward, the outer planets, Saturn in particular, to me, this just gave me this huge signal of delays are lifted and we can move forward, especially since it trines Jupiter. Jupiter, what is it? Growth, benefits. And in fact, there could be some real benefits if we look in the global stage with regards to foreign people, foreign things, legal matters. This could be a big breakthrough case with regards to a legal matter of some sort in a very positive way. As I said, we're looking at Saturn going direct at 25 Pisces and Jupiter is at 25 Cancer. Both water signs, therefore a trine. Now, if we go to the decan for Saturn here, we talked about Saturn being at 25 degrees. Well, the third decan of Pisces starts at 20 degrees. This is at 25. So we know that this is the third and final decan of Pisces. And what is that ruled by? Well, it is ruled by Scorpio, and Pluto is the planet that rules it. So wow, this also emphasizes what? Powerful people, powerful transformation, and powerful transformation of this delay now being released. And I think it has something to do with people in power. I think something's going to come to light here regarding people in positions of power. Because we have that Mercury retrograde the next day, right? In Scorpio going direct. Scorpio is a very secretive sign, generally speaking. It's a very deep sign. It takes great consideration. It's the natural detective, right? Now, let's go into a little bit of the Mercury going direct at 20 degrees of Scorpio, 42 minutes on the 29th of November. We're going to have the moon at that time conjunct Saturn. But remember, Saturn is now going direct. This favors, in my mind, if we take it to the world stage, the moon will actually represent the people. And so it could be that the people get some change happening here where they can see that there's movement forward for some longevity regarding, say, rules and regulations. We're going to have Venus trine Neptune. Holy smokes, that's fantastic. Venus trine Neptune. Well, Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. So these are very positive, synergistic planets working together here as a trine. Again, going back to those people that are in the music industry or that just love to write music or play music, this could be a seminal time for you. For some folks, and in also the film industry, you could get some go-ahead here with regards to maybe a new project in music and or something to do with the arts, maybe film, or maybe you will announce something that you've produced at this time. Certainly would be a great time to do that. So we're really looking at the last couple of days of November here of presenting your creation. We will have Jupiter square Chiron. Uranus will sextile Neptune and trine Pluto. Again, this is like, the orchestra working in the background here to produce some beautiful music for you, to bring some inspiration for you, even bring things in that you didn't even expect, right? With the Uranus part of it. Maybe even enlighten some of us as well. As I mentioned, check out my video link below to get more details about the Mercury going retrograde and direct. So when we look at December 2025 astrology, and we just take a little peek at it, we're going to have a full moon in Gemini, a new moon in Sagittarius, with, of course, Mercury will be direct as well in Sagittarius. In fact, the first 2 weeks of December, Mercury stays in Sagittarius, bringing lots of, lovely communications your way. And of course, it being out of shadow. The other thing that's going to happen in December is that Neptune will go direct. And of course, this will be the veils being lifted in December. So Scorpio, again, happy new year to you with your new moon in your sign, right? That will be happening on the 19th of November. Now, when we start off with that full moon that's going to be in Taurus, Scorpio, Taurus is opposite to you, right? And if we know that that's opposite to you, we also know that that house is going to be the 7th house. So the 7th house, as I've spoken about before, really represents all those people over there, all of them. And they tend to be people that we've actually signed contracts with in some way, right? Or we've made an agreement with them. Those are the others. If we want to bring it back to just a few people in there, we talk about our marriage partners, our business partners, and our clients. But it can be any other. You're going to be wrapping something up in that department. But just as likely, your partner may also be wrapping something up. And when we look at Taurus, we're probably wrapping up something with regards to a money matter of some sort. Now, it could be something as simple as your partner decides to leave a partnership, business partnership, leave that, and they're deciding to do something else where they will be earning their money. Clients could leave you, or you could decide, I'm going to shift my energy over to a different set of clients here. And this full moon represents where you wrap things up with a certain set of clients, and maybe you start with another set at that new moon in Scorpio, right? That would be a good thing to do for those that are trying to do that. But it could also have, opposition is just that. It's kind of like a debate, right? Now, a debate doesn't have to be unpleasant, but you could be having a debate and discussions with your business partnership or your marriage partnership here. And it could be to do with money. Now, when we go to your new moon, your fabulous new moon, Scorpio, you're going to have, of course, still Mercury is retrograde, but it is going to be conjuncting you, right? And that's important to pay attention to. Mercury will be at almost exactly the same degree as that new moon, and of course, the sun is there too. So to me, this says that just for a short while, right? Because it's not going to be many days after that you're actually going to have Mercury go direct in your sign, Scorpio. So there could be something that you have to either put extra communications in, maybe communicate with somebody, or you need to wait for a communication from somebody else before you can move forward with the newness. And it will be obvious at the new moon, Scorpio. The new moon in Scorpio, of course, is at 28 degrees. as is Mercury retrograde. So don't be disappointed. I guess this is what I felt, because you've got the Mercury retrograde there at your new moon. Because as soon as Mercury goes direct, and in addition to having Saturn releasing the delay the day before, look to the last few days of November to move forward with whatever new thing you want to do. Let's just say you're starting a new business partnership. Maybe pick towards the last few days of November, or even December if you can, instead of trying to do it early in November or halfway through November when we've got the Mercury retrograde happening, if you can. If you can't, just pay attention to all the details. Scorpio, if you've got to sign something around that new moon on the 19th of November, just make sure you have someone look at the paperwork, or, have a discussion with you to make sure, are you doing the right thing here? Is this new thing that you're doing make sense? If you do that, cross the T's, dot the I's, have someone else's eyes on it, you should be okay. Now, we're also going to have, as I mentioned at my introduction, that the moon, the sun, and Mercury retrograde will be opposite Uranus at 29 degrees of Taurus, right? So Uranus has dipped back into Taurus, just the latter degrees of Taurus, and it's at 29. So this is an exact opposition. So there could be some surprising news that comes in, some surprising piece of information that affects that new start for you. And more likely, it will be something to do with money as well. So stay open to receiving information, but stay open also to a misinterpretation. So this could be, say, somebody read something or heard something or heard something through someone else about what you said, and it's wrong. This could be your chance to correct it, right? Or certainly correct it within days following your new moon. And as I said, Mercury does go direct in your sign, Scorpio, at 20 degrees. So if anybody that's a Scorpio or Scorpio ascendant that has something at 19, 20, 21, maybe even 22 degrees, where Mercury will be going direct on the 29th of November, this could be a real positive piece of information that comes your way. And Scorpio is hidden, right? It's a hidden type sign. And I always talk about, still waters run deep. Maybe you're going to get some information here that you never expected from somebody that helps release this delay, right? So it's going to be a whole thing happening from your new moon. That'll be all joined together. It's like the dots are there starting at your new moon. They're all joined together, right? From the 19th right the way through the 29th. And boom, it all comes together for you, maybe in a really surprising way. Just be open to things changing, even though they may not seem like they're going to change at your new moon, or that you get disappointed. I can't really start this because of this, this, and this. Investigate it. Don't just accept it. It might be just a straight off miscommunication. Take care, Scorpio. So Sagittarius, that full moon in Taurus falls in your 6th house. But, remember that Mercury will go retrograde in Sagittarius at around 6-7 degrees of Sagittarius. So you've got this potential here for some kind of communication that doesn't seem to be making sense, that you have to deal with. So for sure, the two signs that are affected directly with the Mercury retrograde are you, Sagittarius, and of course, Scorpio. So you too, Sagittarius, will have to watch out for all your communications. Make sure you have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed at this time. There's up to 4, certainly 3 Mercury retrogrades a year. You can't dictate your life around it. But I would say that because your 6th house is aspected here, first of all, Sagittarius, it also puts an emphasis on some kind of big spotlight, maybe even an ending of a job. But this could also be an ending with regards to poor health, right? That could also be featured here for you as well. And when we look at Mercury going direct, even though it's going to be at 20 degrees of Scorpio, you're going to have Mars in your sign, Sagittarius. In fact, Mars kind of stays in your sign for a while, right the way through, almost the first 2 weeks of December, too. So you may be traveling, literally traveling in November and December. You could be taking some action of some sort, maybe some action with regards to a legal matter, some action with regards to higher education. And travel, of course, is the big thing, especially international travel is featured here. But the full moon itself really puts an emphasis here on your job. Now, Taurus is ruled by Venus, so I suspect that it might have something to do with what? 2 or 3 different things. You want more money in your job. And so maybe you could use that Mercury retrograde that starts in your sign, and with Mars in there, to negotiate. Use the month of November, Sagittarius, to negotiate higher pay, to negotiate a new job, perhaps. And the full moon could just emphasize you making the decision in your head, I need to change this up. I need to change my job. But you could also say, I need to change the way I'm actually taking care of myself. And it could be a mental taking care of yourself. I've said this many times, are you working too hard, putting too much effort into everything here from a work standpoint and not taking care of yourself and getting some rest? Because the new moon falls in your 12th house. 12th house is the house of rest. So you may make some decision here, generally speaking, an action forward here, Sagittarius, to take better care of yourself. 6th house, 12th house situation, right? So we look at that new moon in Scorpio, that does fall in your 12th house. And we also have that Mercury going direct in the 12th house, which is Scorpio too. And certainly, Sagittarius, if you've got, say, something around that 20-degree mark of Scorpio, with Mercury going direct, there could be some kind of work behind the scenes that gets the okay. Because remember, just prior to Mercury going direct, Saturn goes direct, trining Jupiter. So like I've been saying to other signs and in my introduction, there could be some really big turnarounds in your favor here that don't seem so obvious towards most of November. Then it all comes together. And it could all come together with regards to a legal matter, publishing something. For you, with that 12th house, the newness really emphasizes you working behind the scenes. Maybe you're working in government offices for some new start. Maybe you are working in a hospital-like setting. Maybe that's a new job you're looking for, and it involves you working behind the scenes there. It can also be some Sagittarians deciding to, Scorpio can be the metaphysical world too. So there may be some Sagittarians say, I've always wanted to do this. I've always wanted to take up whatever, tarot card readings, shamanism, anything kind of that works behind the scenes here in the metaphysical world. And you make that choice at the new moon in Scorpio. And you get the okay released for you to take this course, say, towards the latter part of November, and it makes you very happy. Certainly, like I said, that Mars is going to continue in your sign right the way through almost the first 2 weeks of December. Lots of time for you to move forward with things once we have that Mercury retrograde go direct. Take care, Sagittarius. So Capricorn, that full moon, of course, in Taurus, is in a fellow earth sign like you and trines your sign. It aspects the 5th house. So this says straight off, you could get some opportunities to make money here through a creative project. It is a full moon, so it could be that you would just be wrapping up a project and you get money coming your way, right? You may even get another creative project as a result of finishing off this one creative project for yourself. For others, it could be a birth. Full moons can bring in a birth. 5th house represents children. 5th house also represents love, true love especially. So there may be some ending of some sort. Now, it doesn't have to be you end, say, a new love that had started for you, but what it could do is bring in a next stage to your love, right? Where you say, okay, we're going to be exclusive here. That it's a trine, so it's positive energy. Now, at that full moon, remember, we also have Venus that is going to be at that 28-degree mark of Libra. This is all about relationships, right? That favorably conjuncts the new moon back in October. So for those Capricorns that say did get involved in maybe a new relationship in October, this could be the next stage for you. It's a trine, so it's positive. And even if you do end it, it will be ended in a very positive way, not in a negative way, right? For others that say have their own business and they don't want to do a business, they want to close it down, this could be a great time to do that too. Now, your ruler is Saturn. And as I mentioned at the introduction, Saturn is going to go direct just before we have Mercury going direct the next day. And Saturn will be favorably trining Jupiter on the 28th of November. So, wow, this sets up some positive stuff for you, Capricorn. Saturn being your ruler. If you've had any delays, this is really speaking to those delays being lifted in a very, very positive way. Especially Capricorn, for those people who have had delays with regards to planning travel or moving forward with some travel of some sort, moving forward with some legal matter. You may get this resolved at this time, both on the 28th and the 29th. I would just say those last 3 or 4 days of November could bring a very positive outcome for you. Where there's been delays, they're released. Where you've had a rule and regulation holding you back, it now is taken off for you, or it's resolved in some way, right? And like I said, with the whole Jupiter being trine here for you, with your ruling planet Saturn, Capricorn, this could be travel, foreign people, foreign things, publishing of any sort, higher education, legal matters, all falls under the auspice of Jupiter, right? And there's some favorable outcome coming in here potentially for you. Now, when we look at the new moon in Scorpio, well, that sextiles your sign and your 11th house. So this could have friends being of benefit in some way for you, right? The 11th house represents, sure, it's our hopes, dreams, and wishes. It's also the money we make through our own business. But it can also represent, generally speaking, our friends that we have, the groups that we belong to. And so this suggests that there's some opportunities being offered to you, Capricorn, through your friends and the groups you belong to with regards to a new start. Well, we're talking about this new moon in Scorpio. It has something to do with money. Do you need to leverage some investment money here from people to help you make a new start? To help your hope, dream, or wish come true? Well, your friends are going to be standing there saying, hey, I can write a check for you. The groups that you belong to have a bursary attached for people who want to start, let's just say, your new business in a certain area. They have money for that for you. Look at all these things, Capricorn, if you're in this category, right? Because it looks like people want to help you, especially your friends, at that new moon, for you to have that new start, right? Take care, Capricorn. So Aquarius, that full moon in Taurus, squares you, and it squares your 4th house. And we also have the new moon in Scorpio squaring your 10th house. So we kind of have a juxtaposition happening for you in November, Aquarius, where you solve problems at home with the family, and then something pops up at your job or the career that you're trying to do. And it suggests to me that both the new moon and the full moon have something to do with money. There's a money connection here because both Taurus and Scorpio kind of rule that area of life. And so I would say if you're listening to this early on, maybe look carefully at both these areas. Is there going to be some issues coming up in either of these areas where money has to be put into it? Now, it could literally be, Aquarius, that your house is going to need some renovations here, and it becomes more obvious in November, maybe especially at the Mercury retrograde, right? That starts around the 9th. So you could have some kind of thing like that happen. And it's just, it's annoying that you've got to now put money aside here to repair something in your home. It could be, though, a family member requires some money. Your mother needs maybe some assistance of some sort. That could also play off here too, right? Especially at the full moon. Things will certainly come to light for you. And I would just say, especially with the Mercury retrograde, don't expect everything to be solved right away. And it also suggests to me too, that maybe look around to see how other people have participated in making this a challenging communication, and maybe working with them in the background during November to resolve some of the issues here. Now, it could be, let's just say, go back to your home where you've got to put renovations into your home. Certainly make sure that whoever you're contracting with clearly understands what the problems is, and that you clearly understand what needs to be done, and checking anything that needs to be handled. Like, you have to go to the town hall to get a permit. I've actually had this happen to me where the person replacing my roof did not get a permit. And it was just randomly, one of the officials happened to be going to another house, and he saw them doing this on my house. And they said, "You don't have a permit. You've got to stop immediately." And it was all resolved like within an hour. But it was like, I had not checked that out. And I should have. I should have said, "Did you get a permit here to do this?" So I'm just saying it's that sort of thing. It's kind of like annoying things. But there aren't things that you can't, resolve here with regards to, say, a home or a family matter of some sort too. Certainly enter into negotiations, listening to both sides, because we've got that overlay of the Mercury retrograde here. And make sure you're very clear with your communications. This is a time when you make a statement and then you say, what did you think about what I said? So you get feedback immediately, so people aren't misinterpreting what you're saying here. But resolution can certainly come. I mean, both Scorpio and Taurus are very determined signs to get to the bottom of things. And certainly Aquarius, when we get into that new moon in Scorpio, that squares your 10th house, make sure you look behind the curtain. Are there people trying to trap you or trip you up? That's what, when I saw this, I thought, with that Scorpio part of it, you want to make a new start in your career. There may be somebody behind the scenes here trying to stop you. So again, do due diligence. If you think you should be going ahead with something in your career and there's strange stuff happening where it's not clear why, with that whole Scorpio ruling secrets and things, start doing your own investigating. Scorpio certainly is the private investigator. The person, the spy, that's the Scorpio, who is able to stay in the shadows but look behind and investigate everything. I got that pretty strongly for you here, Aquarius. Do your own investigating at that new moon. And that new initiative may be for you checking behind the scenes of what's going on and just get it resolved. I just saw this as both these squares as positive outcomes for you, because those signs of both Taurus and Scorpio are very determined. And because we have a Saturn, which represents delays, going direct around the 28th of November, kind of in conjunction with Mercury going direct the next day, it says frustrations will begin to end towards the end of November. Just do your part to resolve them, and everything should work out just fine. And in fact, with that Saturn going direct, there could be some real longevity. You put effort in to resolve things, right? The longevity could come through with that Saturn going direct, trining Jupiter, right? Take care, Aquarius. So Pisces, the full moon in Taurus, favorably sextiles you, and it involves your third house. Well, gosh, the third house does represent communications. And of course, we got that big layer now in November of the Mercury retrograde going on too. And so this really says to me that you're going to have the opportunities to speak about something that is ending. Now, the ending could be that you decide you are leaving a job. Taurus can also represent real estate too. For some Pisces, you may be changing where you live, and you make a decision at this time to do that. I would say there's money involved here in some way. With that third house, you may have opportunities maybe to end negotiating for a sales or commercial venture that you've got going on. So the ending isn't a negative thing. It's just that, okay, all this negotiating that I've done, we're almost through it. We've just got a few more things to do here in November, and I can see the end of it. And the end of it shows up in a very positive, tangible way at the full moon in Taurus. But you could also end some kind of communications with regards to neighbors and siblings, because this also rules the third house. And of course, writing projects. That's a big one here for Taurians, or rather with the Taurus full moon, for some Pisces to wrap up a fabulous writing project of some sort. And then you get the opportunity to get it published, because you've got your 9th house, that is the house of publishing, aspected by the new moon towards the end of the month of November in Scorpio. And in fact, you may even be given some kind of, advance money as well. So for those Pisces that are writers, that's the dynamic I see. You finish off the writing project and you get a little bit of money given your way too. Because we've got that Saturn and Jupiter trine just before Mercury goes direct, right? So that's around the 28th. So enter into negotiations, Pisces, is what I would say. You've got a lot of favorable things on your side, especially regarding anything to do with a writing project of some sort. Anything to do with communicating with people. Sales and commerce projects are favorably aspected here, but especially from the standpoint of negotiating the contract and the terms in November, to have that positive outcome when we get Saturn going direct, and then the next day, Mercury going direct as well. And then that new moon favorably trining your 9th house. It also suggests that, you may get the green light to take some travel. Maybe the travel is going to be international travel with the job that you do or the work that you do. Say you've got your own business. It can also say there's a new start with regards to a legal matter of some sort too. A new start with, say, people who are foreign or foreign lands. Maybe that new sales or commerce projects involves foreign people in foreign lands, and you can see that newness, the actual initiation tangibly towards that new moon, right? And that's around the 19th of November. But wait for a few days till Mercury goes direct around the 28th, 29th, and also Saturn goes direct too, right? It's like the green light really happens towards the end of November. But it doesn't mean you can't negotiate and take actions regarding what you want to see in contracts or in terms of the contracts. Take care, Pisces. One more thing for Pisces, actually. You've got a couple other things happening. That Mercury going direct, goes direct at 20 degrees of Scorpio. Fellow water sign, it trines you. If you've got anything around that 20 degrees of Scorpio, this really could emphasize a positive outcome with regards to positive message coming your way. And also, Saturn is in your sign again, right? As was going retrograde, it went back to 25 degrees of your sign, Pisces, right? And it goes direct on the 28th. So if you've got, say, your sun or your ascendant at 25 degrees of Pisces, wow, you may have had significant delays for whatever reason. And with this Saturn going direct, coupled with the Mercury going direct the next day, this sees you with all green lights ahead. No more delays. Take care, Pisces. So Aries, that full moon in Taurus, falls in your 2nd house. And the 2nd house typically represents, your income. It represents the value you have for yourself and the value other people have for you. It represents your possessions as well. And so this is an ending of some sort. Typically, this is going to be some Aries saying, I'm finished with that job. I no longer want to do it. Now, the 8th house is going to be aspected on the 19th with the new moon in Scorpio. So these are both money houses. So the 2nd house in the natural zodiac is ruled by Taurus. And the 8th house in the natural zodiac is ruled by Scorpio. So you've got a nice setup here of the universe working with you, especially with regards to retiring. If you're not old enough or you don't want to or you can't retire yet, that's okay. You may actually just see a form of income stop. And the form of income stopping may be just you deciding, I want to stop working at this job. And you look to, doing something different in your life. Now, you're going to have, at the beginning of the Mercury retrograde, it will be at 6-7 degrees of Sagittarius, fellow fire sign. So even though it's a retrograde Mercury, it trines you. So it almost says to me that, whatever communications you put together here, sure, there may be some delays regarding it, but it's going to work out in your favor because of the trine. So for those Aries that are literally putting in either a resignation or saying, I'm retiring now and leaving this job, either of those scenarios, it's probably going to play out just fine for you. Because we have Mars in Sagittarius as well, for a good part of, let me just see when Mars does go. Yeah, so it's right. Mars goes into Sagittarius at 0 degrees, right at that full moon in Taurus. It stays in Sagittarius through the first couple of weeks of December. So this really supports you taking some action of some sort, to making decisions, to move forward with something here, right? The moving forward is something probably 9th house related, because Sagittarius falls in your 9th house, Aries. So going on in the background with maybe you ending a job, maybe you retiring, you also have this action happening in your 9th house. You could decide you want to now go traveling, and you can do it. You look at your finances and say, I'm just going to go travel for a while here. I need to do this. You could also decide that a legal matter gets resolved easily for you. If you publish, you get the green light to publish as well. Even though you got a Mercury retrograde happening here, you got Mars favoring you, right? And don't forget, we're saying it's so favored for you, Aries, because Mars rules your sign. So it's important to remember that maybe when you're running into some frustrations, especially maybe when you're feeling a bit anxious for those folks that are ending a job towards the beginning of November. It's almost like I say, have confidence in yourself, have confidence in your future, have confidence in the risks that you're taking. As long as they're measured, you should be fine. But there's changes in these areas for you. Now, it could be just very simply that some Aries decide to take some of their income, and instead of spending it on themselves, they throw it in that 8th house of investments. That could be up here too, with that new moon in Scorpio following the full moon, Aries. You could also see some new investment you enter into towards that new moon on the 19th of November come up for you as well. You could just take on a new financial advisor too around the 19th of Scorpio. It would be a good thing to do as well. All right, take care, Aries. So Taurus, that full moon, of course, falls in your sign. It's a wrap-up. It's in your 1st house. Now, we spoke about the decans, right? That is affected by that full moon. And what did we come up with? Let me just take a look back here. We came up with the 2nd decan here, right? And the 2nd decan for you, Taurus, of course, is going to be ruled by Mercury. So that says to me that there's something to do with communications here, and it'll be money related, more than like. Now, it may be money related, but it may also be related to real estate too, because Taurus can cover that area of your life too, as well as your possessions, right? That's all ruled kind of by that Taurian type of energy. But there's a wrap up. There's a big illumination of some sort with regards to some kind of money matter here. And maybe an investment too. You may just decide that, you know what, I don't need to go forward with this anymore, whatever the area of life it is that you're dealing with, right? Now, if it is, say, real estate, say you are buying a home or you're looking to rent a place, maybe this full moon represents that final, okay, I finally got the okay I'm signing a contract to take on either a new rental place or maybe a new home. Now, we do have the Mercury retrograde happening on top of this. It is going to happen, after your full moon, Taurus. And certainly if you entered into negotiations of any sort prior to this full moon happening, generally speaking, you should be okay. But always check communications. If you can avoid signing during a Mercury retrograde, a contract that is, it would be favored. But, we still got to live our lives. I think if you do due diligence and you get another set of eyes on whatever it is that you're ending here and then maybe beginning, it should all be okay. Now, the new moon itself in Scorpio is in your opposite sign, Taurus. Of course, that represents your 7th house. The 7th house is all those people over there, all the others that are over there. And typically we're talking about people that we sign contracts with or we make an agreement with. So those would be our business partnerships. Those would be our marriage. Those would be our clients, right? And so at the new moon, there is some new start required by you here. Again, probably something to do with a money matter of some sort. The 7th house could have maybe your partner has some new beginning with regards to money. Maybe your marriage partner is given the green light to be given more money, maybe in a new job, maybe in their new partnership. They get some big bonus that you say, wow, that's great. That affects me in a very positive way. But it could have your partner starting something new where you've got to make some kind of discussion together over a money matter. Now, I'm thinking, let's just give a scenario of your marriage partner says, I really want to form this partnership, but it's going to mean I'm not going to have so much money coming in here. I'm going to need your help and your money to cover some of the bills here. And it's something that you've got to negotiate. Right, Taurus? I mean, the other thing too is the 7th house represents the house of marriage. And with the new moon on top of it here, it could be that there is some Taurians that decide they're going to get married. They may get engaged at this time. I mean, especially since after following this new moon, we've got, Saturn going direct, trining Jupiter. All that's going to be sextiling you in a positive way, Taurus. And then we have the Scorpio Mercury going direct at 20 degrees. And so there could be some favorable setup here for some Taurians that do get engaged or do get married or do decide they want to set up a partnership of some sort. It is going to mean negotiations, though, because you've got the opposition there with that new moon. But that's okay. Just be prepared. Do your own due diligence. Get all the facts and information out before you start negotiating, and you should be fine. Yeah, and I mean, at this time, let me just take a look at this, the new moon where Uranus is. So Uranus, Taurus, is even at that new moon, retrograde at 29 degrees of Taurus. So for those Taurians that say have something, maybe your ascendant's at 29 degrees or your sun is at 29 degrees of Taurus, there may be some surprise development, and it doesn't have to be bad. It could be a surprise development that frees you up if you've got, say, something around that 28 degrees mark of Taurus, where we will have Uranus sitting. Take care, Taurus. So Gemini, that full moon in Taurus falls in your 12th house. The new moon falls in the opposite house, the 6th house. So we have a 6th house, 12th house type of situation here. And so we're talking about your health. We're talking about the job that you do day to day. If you do not work, it's what activities you do day to day. These are the areas that are going to be affected, and there's going to be an element of money involved here. Either your money or other people's money or investments. So at the new moon, the full moon in Taurus, Gemini, in your 12th house, says there's going to be some wrap up here with regards to probably some negotiation regarding money. And I'm thinking money at work. Even though the 12th house doesn't specifically refer to work, it can refer to things like hospital type settings where we see people who need help. I mean, that could even, generalize to going into a practice with other psychologists, other psychiatrists for that matter. So there may be some Geminis that do that. They end negotiations towards that first week at the 5th of November, at the full moon. They think, okay, all this negotiations that I've been doing, finally it's wrapping up. And you're able to maybe take this new job behind the scenes. I've mentioned a couple situations for that. For others, it may be that you're just ending, for those that are into the metaphysical world, this could be maybe a big yoga retreat that you went to, and you become certified in yoga or some metaphysical art of some sort. And that's you getting your certificate, right? Now note that when we have Mercury going retrograde in Sagittarius at around 7 degrees of Sagittarius, a few days after that full moon, so that's around the 9th of November, that Sagittarian is opposite your sign here. So you need to be paying attention to this Mercury retrograde too, more from at a distance and maybe from a standpoint of partners that you're working with, marriage partners, business partners, clients. They could become a little bit of a focus here with the Mercury retrograde. So you've got that stamp happening on you too for pretty well all of November. It's more partnerships are featured here. Now, this could also be you forming partnerships, right? And the month of November involves you negotiating to either get into a partnership, create your own partnership, work with a partner regarding money matters, figuring out how much money you're going to be paid in a partnership. That type of thing could all be going on the whole of November too, with Mercury going retrograde in your opposite sign of Sagittarius, right? With a wrap-up happening when Mercury goes direct on the 29th of November. Saturn goes direct the previous day. Now, the new moon in Scorpio is in your 6th house. So this really does suggest to me, Gemini, I think November is going to be a month of you getting a new situation at work, whether it's a new job, whether it's a new position in an existing job that you're in, with you going into partnership with other people. All these things could be up for you. If you can, wait to sign on the bottom line, at least when Mercury goes direct on the 29th of November, that would be great. But as long as you are being diligent with regards to checking all the details, Gemini, especially understand if you are signing a contract during Mercury retrograde in November, implications on you. What are the expectations of you? Make sure you have it very clear in your mind. What the expectations are of you, either in this new job or new partnership. That's what this really says to me here. You're entering into some new partnership, new job, but you got to make sure that the obligations people are expecting from you, that you actually understand, because there could be confusion with the Mercury part of it, right? But apart from that, wow, this is you potentially having some really interesting things happening with regards to your employment situation, right? Yeah. And Uranus, of course, let me just double check where Uranus is going to be during both these new moons and full moons. Yeah, I mean, Uranus during the full moon, although it's retrograde, will be at 0 degrees of Gemini. So, for those Geminis that say have something, say your sun is right at the beginning of Gemini, say around that 0 or 1 degree of Gemini, there might be some surprising developments happen here with Uranus on top of it. Or if your ascendant is, say, around that 0 to 1 degree mark, there may be some surprising things come in. But the surprising thing could be that you gain your freedom in some way, that you're released from something that's been dogging you forever. Now, the new moon, we do have Uranus going back into Taurus at 29 degrees, but it's going to be awfully close to you, Gemini. But officially, it will not be in your sign. So it's really that full moon where there may be some kind of release for you or independence gained regarding something. If you have something, say, around 1 degree or so of Gemini. Take care, Gemini. So Cancer, that full moon in Taurus sextiles your sign and involves your 11th house of friends, groups, hopes, dreams, and wishes, money you make through your own business. So straight off, some Cancers are going to be making more money. Are you going to have the opportunity to make more money? Make sure you're listening to your friends, because that's 11th house too. Make sure you're associating with groups that you are associated with too, that you're actually listening to what they say. They may have some ways of you making some more money here, right? Even though it's a full moon, it may represent for some Cancers the ending of just getting, bits and pieces of money. And now you get opportunities to do more than that, to get more things coming in for you here as well. Now, especially when we've got that Saturn going direct at 25 degrees of Pisces, trining Jupiter in your sign. Whoa. I would say look towards the latter days of November with that happening and also Mercury going direct. You may get some fabulous news towards the end of November in tangible terms that turns up at this full moon as a beginning, as a first message of some sort. That latter days could really bring in some big stuff for you, my friend. Yeah, if you're looking to increase money for yourself, Cancer, certainly pay attention to what ends. And it may be you ending something at that full moon. And it could be that you end some association with a group that you decide doesn't really suit you anymore. And by doing that, you release yourself for maybe being attracted to another group that is favorable for you. But I think friends are going to bring something in for you. And illuminate something for you. So it doesn't mean that you have to end friendships, although some may. It just may be that friends help you end something favorable here and give you opportunities to do something else. That's kind of the mix. I know it's kind of, a 180 view on either side. Are they helping me? Are they not helping me? Your friends are there to help you with that full moon, but they may just illuminate something for you that you just hadn't seen before. I guess that's what I'm really saying, Cancer. And if you're really lucky, Cancer, and you do have Jupiter in your sign, so this could happen to many Cancers. You do have a hope, dream, or wish come true. And the ending is that after having worked so hard at making a dream come true, boom, it comes true. Now that new moon also favors you, Cancer. It trines you, so that's just favorable energy, just beaming away in new beginnings. And it's the 5th house. Well, there's going to be some Cancers, maybe as a result of friends pointing something out to them, that they're going to take on a big, huge creative project that makes them money. It is in Scorpio. It may be something where you have to work behind the scenes. So Scorpio kind of likes to work kind of in secret. So there may be some Cancers that actually are given a project, maybe through their work, where they can't really talk to people about it too much. But it's fabulous. You love it, and it's totally creative for you. For others, that 5th house can represent new love. There's going to be some Cancers that actually get an opportunity here to move forward in a love relationship. And that love relationship may be manifest more clearly when Saturn trines that Jupiter right in Cancer around the 28th. So look to the 28th, Cancer, of November as real tangible signs in maybe a love relationship of some sort. That is something really tangible and concrete for you, that it becomes solid, that it becomes real. The other thing is children are ruled by the 5th house. There's going to be some Cancers that get pregnant at that new moon. And you make an announcement maybe just after the Mercury goes direct and say, yep, I got the test back and it's confirmed. I'm pregnant. How awesome is that? Overall, I think that new moon is going to give you opportunities to really benefit from a huge creative project that gets a green light after a long delay. Take care, Cancer. So Leo, both the full moon and the new moon squares you. But hey, you've got relief. let's start off with the relief. You have Mars in Sagittarius. Most of November, right through the first 2 weeks of December, that is in a fellow fire sign. What does that mean? It means it trines you. Trines are just positive energy beaming to you. Just, yeah, we're going to make this work. No matter what you do, Leo, it's just going to make it work. It's going to be turning out in your favor. And the turning out of the favor is you taking positive action here, maybe a risky one, but it's going to turn out for you, Leo. Taking some risk, some positive action. Or you just decide to go forward with something that has something to do with what? Foreign people, foreign things. A travel situation, traveling at a distance may be important for you in the month of November. Through the first couple of weeks of December. But you're going to be very active with regards to all these areas. Legal matters could turn out really well for you here too, Leo, as well, especially as you get into December. Because Mars is going to be favorably trining you. Let me just take a quick look. I know we're not doing December right now. And I'm just doing this for you, Leo. But I'm going to take a look at the degrees that Mars will be at in December, because Mercury will be direct too. So it's super favorable for you in terms of action that you need to take that's in your favor. So the degrees that Mars in December goes into Sagittarius, trining you favorably, Leo, is from the 19th degree through the 29th degree of Sagittarius. So if you've got anything, say your Leo ascendant is in those degrees, and or your sun in particular, it could be other things too, it could be your midheaven, you are favored in December to have legal matters turn out your way, like super positive. So November is going to have you butting heads where, first of all, your work. So the full moon, let's go down to the full moons. The full moon, that's going to be in Taurus, squares your 10th house. So that's your career, that's your reputation, that's your social standing. There's just going to be some challenges there. And then you've got the new moon in the 4th house. This says there's problems at home, problems at work. How have I found that it sort of plays out with regards to clients and or myself? You've got demands at work that are really challenging you, where your boss is saying, yeah, I know you're doing that proposal, but you got to do this proposal and you need to take this new person on and train them. And it's like, okay, I can't do all these things. But you know what? You're going to have to do them, Leo. Leverage those other people around you is what I would say to help you out. Maybe pay for a contractor to come in and do some work for you, or bring in the money aspect in, right? Because it's Taurus. Then that new moon in Scorpio squares your 4th house. So there could be stuff that happens at home. Maybe your family, your mother, your your family members, your kids, your wife, your husband says, you know what, you're not spending enough time at home here. You need to stop working so hard. And that new start, it's a new start, right? But it is a square. So you have to do something new in the home to make people happy at home. Other things that could turn out is that you want to do maybe a renovation project of some sort towards the end of November, and you make that decision. This is the new start here. I'm going to do that renovation project, but you can't. Something's happening in the home that stops you, and also something that's happened at work or in your career. But I saw this really working out positive for you, Leo. Because you've got that Mars supporting you so positively for such a long time, operating in the background for you, I would just say, with the Mars in Sagittarius, Sagittarius is very forward thinking. It likes to look into the future. So it's almost saying to me, take action in November for your future. Take action in November for future plans, say to travel. Take action with regards to legal matters of some sort. And the squares that come in, the challenges that come in probably from other people in your home and or your career, it's okay. You're going to be making great progress in those other areas, right? You may even be traveling during this time period of November into December, and you have to handle things in your career and your home. And it's a bit difficult to do when you're at a big, huge distance, right? So that could be up here too for some Leos. But you've got that Mars on your side. Take care, Leo. So for Virgos, This is kind of a nice setup for you. You're one of those signs here that are positively favored by, almost everything. Mars retrograde going direct in Scorpio, sextiling you. The Saturn going direct at 25 degrees of Pisces, opposite you, but trining the Cancer Jupiter's connection. Wow. So you've got a lot of positive things happening for you. Virgo, all you've got to do is pay attention to the details. Well, Virgo, that's all Virgo does is pay attention to the details. And in particular, Virgo's strength is paying attention to the important details and emphasizing the important details. Well, you're going to have a chance to do all this. I would say at the full moon in Taurus, you have a trine happening with the 9th house. You're going to be publishing something more than likely here. It doesn't mean you have to publish a book. It could be some proposal that you've been doing that you finally wrap up around that 5th of November. Now, you may have to go back and do some rewrites, Virgo. Don't get upset about it. The rewrites are going to be favorable for you in the end, right? So the Mercury retrograde happens days after that, around the 9th of November. So you may wrap up this big proposal or maybe some writing project of some sort. It can also be a sales and commerce type initiative too. That might be wrapped up here too. But the 9th house also represents, and that's the 3rd house, that's a new start. But the 9th house can represent things like long distance travel, foreign people, foreign things, legal matters, publishing, like I mentioned too. And because it's a full moon, it says you've ended something, like I said, maybe some writing project or some deal that you've been putting together, a commercial deal, wraps up at this time. And you can see the money. It is in Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus is money. It's also values. So I would say whatever it is that's wrapped up at this time, Virgo, it's of value to you. You got this trine happening. So it's almost like no matter what you do, you're going to be favored. Whatever's wrapped up, whatever's illuminated at this time, in one or all those areas of the 9th house. I mean, quite simply, there could be some Virgos that are coming back from overseas travel at this time. And it's a real positive wrap up for you. When we have that new moon in Scorpio, that sextiles you, so there's opportunities coming your way, maybe to take up another writing project. It aspects the 3rd house. So maybe someone likes whatever you did and whatever got published or accepted in terms of a project, and they throw another one. As a result of that, you get another opportunity to put another writing project together. You put another sales and commerce initiative together as well. All really super positive for you, Virgo. You can't go really wrong in the month of November. And remember, the only fly in the ointment is Mercury goes retrograde around the 9th of November, and it's in Sagittarius, right? It's around 7 degrees of Sagittarius. Sagittarius does square your sign. What does it say to me? Because you got all these other positive energies. You're going to get some bad news of some sort. You're going to get a disappointment of some sort. Maybe a disappointment in some initiative that you wanted to do in the future, and they'd say, no, it's just not going to go forward. Hang in there, though. Hang in there. Why? Because the negative message you may get around the 9th of November may go super positive when that whole Mercury retrograde goes direct at 20 degrees of Scorpio, because Scorpio sextiles you. So as a result of maybe a negative communications at the beginning, and this is only one small thing of all the positive things for you, Virgo, it all comes together towards the end of November. Because just prior to that Mercury going direct at 20 degrees of Scorpio, Virgo, on the 28th, you have Saturn, which is all about delays, now goes direct. Oh, releasing. The delays are no longer there. Green lights are happening because it's going to trine water sign Cancer. That's where Jupiter is at. That's all going to sextile you. So the Saturn trine Jupiter is going to sextile you too. So some favorable outcome is going to happen for you that you just don't expect, probably at the beginning of November when you just get a disappointing piece of news. You're favored this month, Virgo. So just you do your careful analysis of whatever data, information, or facts. Everything's going to turn out for you just fine. Take care of yourself, Virgo. So Libra, for me, the biggest thing when I saw this setup, especially when we look at the full moon that's going to happen in Taurus, is the fact that Venus is going to be at 28 degrees of Libra. And Libra, you had your new moon last October at 28 degrees of Libra. So for those Librans that maybe said, well, I was supposed to have this new start, let's just say it was a job that you were going to do. Or let's just say it was a new love came into your life in October. But somehow something happened there and it didn't either take off or a delay of some sort or something happened. There's many things that can happen with relationships. Well, you can look forward to, even though it's a full moon, something activated with regards to a new start in your life. Look, it's your new moon that happened in October, any aspect of your life. Typically, we look at things like Libra as relationships, especially serious relationships, but also diplomatic relations for those people that have had, you thought you had this new start with diplomacy of some sort, and then it just didn't happen. Look to the full moon with that Venus there, taking off all the rough edges and anything bad and making things nice and sweet to appear for you at the full moon, which is on the 5th of November. And there's other parts too. We'll continue to go through November and the dates and bring up good dates for you. But certainly that full moon falls in the 8th house. So the 8th house really says a wrap up of some sort regarding probably some kind of investment, maybe some kind of joint finances ends for whatever reason at this point. I can't see your chart, Libra, but it's something to do with finances for sure. And a wrap up or an illumination of some sort. And I mean, these aren't eclipses we're talking about. So it could be something as simple as your financial advisor says, hey, you know what? This particular investment that you were doing is now at 3 years or 2 years, and we have to do something with it because it ends for whatever reason. And you just have to make some decision regarding an investment at this time. Now, a really positive way to use this full moon in Taurus, especially as it associates itself with money, is you make a decision to stop spending your money and start saving your money. That could be a great activity for some Librans. I like to spend just as much as anybody else. Yeah, I mean, the other way this can be handled too for the sign of Libra or Libra ascendant is that some Librans decide to retire because you have the 8th house, like I just mentioned, with the full moon, but then the new moon's in the 2nd house of income. Yeah, if you want to retire, I would say take the month of November to negotiate, take the month of November to figure out all your finances. That can take some considerable time, by the way, to set up your retirement and it's successfully well-oiled. If you're in that situation, Libra, this is the month to do it. You will be supported big time here. All right, so I also mentioned the new moon in Scorpio, Libra, and that's in your 2nd house. So for those Librans that are not retiring, this could be a new start with regards to your income that you earn. Well, this could just be a whole new job for you. Yeah, I mean, that full moon can represent something. Say you've got a pension going in and I had something like this in my situation, in a job. But, you know, if you leave the job, that stops accumulating in terms of you getting more money from the investment of the pension. But you make that decision, Libra. That's okay. I want this new job. So the ending happens with regards to, you know, the pension. That's the full moon. And then the new moon puts you in this great situation regarding a new job, a new source of income. It's a new source of income for sure. Now, it can be associated with you being valued more too. I mean, in our, you know, real world that we have to deal with, generally speaking, we're rewarded for the job we do by the value that's placed on it. That value could go up at that new moon and you get more money in your job, right? Both Taurus and Scorpio are money signs. So generally speaking, this whole month of November is a money type month or investment type month or other people's money, even inheritances. And in fact, inheritances do fall under that 8th house, Libra. So there may be some Librans at that full moon on the 5th of November that are wrapping up an inheritance situation as well. But you could have new value come your way for sure, right, Libra? Now remember, really more coming into next year, you're going to be having Saturn as well as Neptune in your 7th house opposing you. And so the influence is still there now. It's only kind of degrees, out of sign degrees. In fact, let's just take a look here. We'll look at the new moon, which is the final moon of November. Let me just take a look to see where. Yeah, so we still have Saturn is in Pisces and Neptune's in Pisces. So it's not directly affecting you. It's affecting you by opposition out of sign, but it's not in your opposite sign to you, of course, which is Aries. Just take a quick look here for you. I mean, you do have Chiron. That's at 23 degrees of Aries, Libra. And so this also suggests to me, I've not talked to you about this before, but Chiron is like the wounded healer, right? And so by transit in your chart, this does fall in your 7th house. It says to me that you could have some real healing come through here with regards to partnerships, in particular marriage partnerships. But we could extend it to also business partnerships and, of course, clients. But the stronger feeling that I get here is you could have some beautiful healing energy. And this is going to be lasting for a while, by the way, Libra, from, say, a marriage partnership. And in fact, it could feature just by having, Chiron in your 7th house, where you do develop a relationship, a serious relationship with someone who actually provides a healing energy for you. But let's just wrap this up, Libra, by saying with Venus, especially at the full moon on the 5th of November, conjuncting your new moon from October, you've got money, love, and values positively coming your way in November, especially towards the beginning of it. So enjoy is what I'm saying. Take care, Libra. All right, everybody, I'm wrapping up my November. Then we're going to have the last month of the year, December, coming up. I'm sending everyone, lots of positive energy, right? There's a Mercury retrograde that's happening all of November. Certainly some of us are going to feel some frustrations with regards to communications, miscommunications, not getting the news they want. Just remember, all that is about to change towards the end of November, right the way through the first 2 weeks of December. As Mars continues to stay in Sagittarius, Sagittarius is very, very positive, outgoing energy. It also represents happiness too. So know that things will clear up as Mercury goes direct towards the end of November. Try not to be too frustrated. Just keep checking the information with other people as well as facts and data. Lots of love to everybody. Enjoy your Thanksgiving for those folks that do celebrate Thanksgiving. And we'll talk to you next month in December. If you want your chart done, of course, love to do it. All my details are below. Just send me an email and you can see my services through the links. I put it towards the end of the text box. Take care and bye for now.